Hi everyone, my name is Ash, but most people online know me as Ashoka. I'm a music producer who started making games on HYTOPIA at the beginning of this year, which is 2025. So far, I've made Volcano Dash, which I made for the very first HYTOPIA game jam, and then for the second game jam, I made Sky Siege, and I'm still working on updates for both of these games. I'm actually in the middle of a round of updates right now, and then as soon as I finish this round of updates, I'll start work on my third HYTOPIA game, which is going to be a massive game. It's going to be a big undertaking. It's an RPG game, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future when I'm actively working on that one a little bit more. I first heard about HYTOPIA in, I want to say, late 2021 or early 2022 when I was working with a project who was looking for a way to build an experience for the community. And we had a couple different options and we were looking into them all. And so at that time, I started following HYTOPIA, which was actually not even HYTOPIA yet at that point. And I just kind of was intrigued by the project and I passively kind of paid attention to what was happening with it from that point on. But around sometime in 2023, they announced a theme song competition for their rebrand, which as a music producer, this obviously intrigued me, but I was actually out of town. So I didn't have any of my music equipment with me at the time, but I got back home with like 2 days to spare. I put a few tracks together, submitted them, and kind of just hoped for the best. And I didn't end up winning the competition, but a few months later, ARC reached out to me and asked if I was still interested in making some music for the platform, which I of course was. And then obviously at that point, I started to become a little bit more involved in the community. So when the SDK was released like a year ago, I was super intrigued, but I had never coded a single thing in my entire life. And I'm not sure why, but some random afternoon, I just decided to install it and see if I could get through some of the early examples, like the push the spider example and stuff. And around that time, HYTOPIA announced the first game jam, and I just kind of kept going. I decided to just make a simple game, and one thing led to another, and I've been making things on HYTOPIA ever since. My journey with the SDK has been relatively smooth, especially for someone with zero coding or game development experience at all. The dev docs are super well written, and then I also took a JavaScript course just to help me understand like what I was looking at. The biggest learning curve for me was just learning how to think like a developer and like organize my files and stuff. But I didn't really run into any hurdles as it related to the SDK itself. I feel like that part of the process was really, really smooth for me just because everything is so well documented. There are, of course, challenges with working with a platform early because obviously something might change that will require you to go back and adjust your code somehow to work with the new updates. But overall, it's just super rewarding to have an idea in your head and have all of the tools at your disposal to bring it to life and to make something that people can play. One of the reasons why I think I've been able to be successful with the SDK, and I define success as being able to actually ship completed games, is because the community is so supportive. I remember from the moment I started asking questions in the Discord, both the HYTOPIA team and devs in the community were there answering those questions, never making me feel inferior for not knowing literally anything. And I even had some people reach out to me privately and point me towards things that I didn't even know existed, like GitHub or like understanding how to structure my projects and organize my code. So overall, the experience has been really, really great and rewarding. And I've never felt like I couldn't accomplish something because I know between the documentation and the community that anything that I'm trying to do, I can actually figure out how to do. I'm not sure that I ever would have explored making games on my own if HYTOPIA didn't exist and if I didn't find it through this weird set of circumstances. But I'm really glad that I did because I find games to be one of the most complete creative mediums that exist because it merges art with music and story into one experience that you can like craft yourself that other people can enjoy. And as a creative person myself, I find that to be really, really satisfying. And I've really enjoyed just the process of learning how to do all these things and bring these ideas to life. So I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to see what other cool things I'm able to make with the platform.